Infinity Train Book 2 will begin airing Monday, but like usual, Cartoon Network released the first episode early on their app. Good thing they only put one episode on. Shows like this really benefit from being watched daily. The collective excitement of a fanbase is way more fun than just binging a story in one day. So this video will contain spoilers for the episode, so if you want to watch it, go find it on demand or on Cartoon Network's website or app. Anywho, episode 1, The Black Market Car. Right off the bat, I'm really glad this season just opens right up into the plot about Mirror Tulip. It doesn't need to recap what happened or re-explain the rules of the train. We already get that stuff. There's not too much of a mystery for them to dance around now, at least in this episode. My problem with the first season was how it focused so much on discovering how the train works, that we hardly even got to see the train working. But here everything's normal, one's in charge, and we focus on Mirror Tulip running away, which is a plotline we already understand. This episode does introduce a new character, Jesse, who has a fun and goofy personality. But not much else about him has been revealed yet. Obviously he's going to have some tragic backstory that landed him on the train, so as morbid as it sounds, I'm looking forward to learning that. I found it really cool how they did a lot of interesting framing in this episode to hide the number on Jesse's hand. Enough so that you know that it's there, but we don't know what the number actually is. The start of this episode is a montage of various carts, and Mirror Tulip changes her appearance, and eventually starts running away from the reflection police. I loved all the cool stuff they did with the reflection idea. The way Mirror Tulip had to grind off her hair and could use her arms to see what's behind her, and the way the police jumped in and out of reflective surfaces. I hope they do a lot more of that with future episodes, and I'm sure they will. The writers must have loved the Chrome Car episodes so much that they just wanted to do way more with that idea, so now we got a whole season for it. Once Mirror Tulip escapes the police, she hangs out in a gorgeous autumn-themed world with a weird deer that seems to have magic powers. If I had to guess, I'd say the deer is just a malfunctioning part or something, but I'm sure there's something much more interesting than that. Through that, she meets Jesse and they argue over the deer, and give it one of the best names I've ever heard, Alan Dracula. And then the deer falls in a hole and the episode ends. So good cliffhanger. I guess we should start calling this season Infinity Train Book 2, The Secret of the Weird Deer. So not much else to say though. I like the art direction, and I'm interested to see where this story goes, because just based on this episode, I have no clue what's going to happen. Infinity Train continues with episode 2, The Family Tree Car. I really enjoyed this one. This episode does a very good job at quickly developing a personality for Jesse, and starting a dynamic between him and MT. It also gives us a pretty creative setting that gave me strong Over the Garden Wall and Gravity Falls vibes. I think it's sort of weird that the tree is mostly used as a set piece, like they don't really take full advantage of it or solve the conflict between the families or anything, but there's only so much you can do in 11 minutes. What they did do was put a lot of focus on Jesse, and I'm really starting to like him. The sort of frustrated dynamic between him and MT is already really fun to watch. And to me, it's more interesting than the straightforward friendship we had in the first season. There's just no better trope than a grouchy character becoming slightly less grouchy because of a nice person. And when I went back through this episode to grab screenshots, I actually noticed something interesting. When Jesse is talking to the two families trying to solve their problem, you can see the number on his hand go up from 32 to 33. He says something like, "Well, I don't want anyone to get mad at me," and avoids sharing his opinion on the family conflict. Then very soon after, when he talks to MT and says, "Trying to make everyone happy didn't work out," his number goes back down to 32. From this subtle change in just his whole personality in this episode, I would guess he ended up on the train because he's too nice. He never accepts the fact that people don't want to accept him. He never wants to say anything that would lead to people not liking him, so he's never true to himself. Think about the way he almost brags about how he's friends with every group of kids at school, and the way he could just not leave MT alone. Of course, MT eventually accepts him for genuine reasons, but to be friends with everyone at school, he probably just didn't leave them alone and pretended to fit in with what they do. Like the eraser shavings kids. It's not an ego problem, like he's not really an egomaniac. He just wants to be everyone's friend, but you can't really do that without pretending to be somebody you're not. So he needs to just be himself more and stop trying to get everybody to like him. Well, that's my theory anyways. I'm interested to see what other sorts of scenarios these characters fall into, so they'll reveal more hints about his personality. I hope unlike the other season, they stay on the train and don't give us a bunch of blatant flashbacks about Jesse. It would be more fun to figure out the backstory ourselves rather than just very quickly being shown it. That's what I took out the most from this episode. And by the ending, I wonder if there's going to be a romance between MT and Jesse. It's hard not to assume that because it's a boy and a girl in a dangerous situation becoming friends, so it's a cliche, and I hope that they don't go that direction and they just stay friends by the end, but we'll see. Overall, this episode had a neat setting, nice character dynamics, good comedy, and interesting hints. Infinity Train continues with the Map Car and the Toad Car. Once again, a nice batch of episodes. I think the Toad Car was the stronger of the two, but we'll get to that in a bit. The Map Car was pretty cool. It reminded me a bit of that one regular show episode with the Book of Records, where what they write in the book happens in the real world. It was funny the way MT was almost making fun of the entire concept of the train. Like she knows what's up with the number, but she doesn't actually get how to make it go down, so she just sends Jesse to do random stuff hoping it works. Of course though, we do end up learning more about Jesse's problem, and it's pretty similar to what I predicted before. He's too much of a pushover. He never does what he wants, he only does what others want from him. His swimming story was pretty sad, and also anytime swimming is brought up I can only think of the anime Free. Also the weird celery story Jesse tells is apparently based on something that actually happened to one of the show's writers, which makes that even funnier. The climax of this episode spurred up a bit too quickly, but again, with short episodes like this, it's hard to get the pacing quite right. But other than that, this was a fun one. Now the Toad Car is a very standout episode to me. Like, for this whole series so far. It's a really nice mix of pleasantly weird, somber, and tense. I say this a lot, but it's very Adventure Time. Just the concept of there being this car that there's just a calm toad sitting there waiting to be kicked. That's hilarious, and almost more interesting and unique than some of the other grand cars we've seen. But the emptiness of the room and the bizarre scenario creates a perfect setting for the character drama here. Jesse is losing trust in MT. The Reflection Police are trying to convince him MT is evil, and Jesse doesn't want to get out because the only way to leave the room will make his number go up. It's such a great scenario, and by the end, Jesse and MT grow closer and Jesse's number decreases. I think the number goes down because he trusted himself to make a decision. He did what he believed was right, not what the police or MT wanted him to do. He listened to both sides of the story about MT and decided for himself which one to believe in. And the little backstory we get about Jesse's friends and his brother is really sad. I'm close with my family, so I guess stuff like that just really gets to me. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's fair to say, at least for me, even just from these 4 episodes we've seen so far, I'm enjoying this season more than the first one. There's just a lot more subtleties of the storytelling. It's no longer a mystery show, it's more of a buddy adventure in a strange world now. Infinity Train continues with the Parasite car and the Lucky Cat car. The Parasite car was really cool. I appreciate how it took place across multiple different cars, giving a variety of weirdness and beauty. This episode kinda just shows the growing friendship between MT and Jesse, and their affection for Mr. Alan Dracula. Seeing Alan's powers go haywire and him struggling to control himself was really awesome. Kinda horrific, but like, in a good way. It got me thinking just how much this series benefits from being animated. Like, this story wouldn't work unless it was a cartoon. The way everything is like kinda cute but also strange is just perfect here. The way Alan Dracula emotes couldn't have been done in any other art form. They're making me get emotional over a deer. Now let's just hope they don't do what they did to Atticus here, huh? We don't want Alan to end up like Bambi's mom. I also found it interesting how MT goes into depth about what happens if a prime dies. Things like that aren't just said to be throwaway dialogue. I mean, I don't think Tulip's gonna die, but something similar could happen, I don't know. What if Jesse dies temporarily, and then the Flex talk with his reflection, but Mirror Jesse knows how to save his own life? I don't know. This could have just been setting up the joke in the next episode where MT says she doesn't know everything about reflections, but probably not. When you write something that specific, there's gotta be some sort of foreshadowing involved. Or maybe it really does just mean nothing. Lucky Cat Car was interesting too. The way it's lit and the subtle music give it a nice atmosphere. It was a cute way to bring in some returning characters too, without needing to make them the focus of the story. They encounter a new opponent who's wearing a mask, so obviously it's someone important. And it turns out to be some girl we haven't seen yet. She seems to be in charge of a group of passengers that are just living on the train recklessly, not concerned about leaving. She's also probably mind controlling the other kids into helping her? That's what I take from it anyways. It might sound weird, but the way it's presented here, I'm kind of disappointed by this turn. Like, I feel like I can guess what's gonna happen next from a mile away. This girl's gonna create some drama between Jesse and MT. Jesse's number's gonna go up, the police will show up and probably harm MT. Jesse will feel bad and act selflessly and help MT. They'll convince the new girl and her army to be good guys. Jesse gets off the train, and the end. Almost the same thing they did in the other season with the conductor. I hope they do something more unexpected. Give this new girl new depth, not just make her exist to start more problems and make Jesse mad. We'll have to wait and see, and we're real close to the end, so I'm sure tonight's episodes will have some tense cliffhangers. I haven't gotten it spoiled, but I've seen some posts saying that these next episodes are pretty intense, so we'll be recording my live reaction to the episodes this time, and see how that works out. This is like quite literally what Old Gravy, that's amazing. That's the best joke I've ever seen. This is like exactly what Gravity Falls did. Is that his voice from Gravity Falls? But he looks like Robbie, he's blonde Robbie. Oh. Well, okay, well, that's a significantly more interesting thing than I thought they were going to do with these characters. But that's why they have the wave on their face, because it's referencing the other conductor. Is something going to happen to that kid? That kid was a little too cute. Yeah, see, but now we're doing the thing that I said, that like this girl's just going to get in Jesse's way and ruin everything for almost no reason. It's just kind of like a very tropey thing that I didn't really want to have to see. I'm glad Jesse like is immediately realizing they're bad and isn't actually going along with it. Oh, is she not going to be able to get out though? Oh, okay, well, that was good. That was better than I was expecting. I was really worried the way they introduced the characters in the other episode, that they were going to give them way too much focus and give it like this long, overdrawn, like Jesse's going to become evil and listen to them, but it went through it really quickly. He didn't follow them and believed in himself and believed in MT, and then he got off the train. So I don't really know where we're gonna go from now. That was a really emotional scene, and there was some really good cinematography and stuff in that one too. So we're gonna check out the next episode. They're making the police look so cool now. Oh. He's like a robot though, so it's okay. Oh, okay. So we're bringing that back up. That's good. That's not how I expected the dead reflection thing to come up, but that makes a lot of sense. There they are, waiting for these terrifying roach things to show up. I am Groot. They definitely had like a really specific artist. They thought they were so good at faces and got them to do this reflection police guy. Again, not the direction I thought this would go, but this is awesome. That's amazing. So that's the horror moment everybody was talking about. That wasn't even that bad. He's just like a robot. I thought like Jesse was gonna get hurt or something the way people were reacting. Okay, yeah, so that was awesome. Again, it's taking like a super different direction than what I expected. Although, I hope they aren't just done with Jesse. Like, I hope he can show up again or something, because the way he left was very dramatic and emotional, but I would have liked to hear a bit more about him. I mean, I'm sure we'd at least get some sort of epilogue with him and his brother at the end, but I would like him to somehow interact with the train again. I feel like he kind of just left almost instantaneously. I can get what they were going for with that, but I just think they were such a good duo. And now if the next 2 episodes are just going to be MT, that kind of takes away a lot of what was making the show particularly really good to me. But that was a really good one, really well boarded, really not afraid to be like really dark, both in terms of violence and story. Having MT like question herself and like bring up this whole idea that everything on the train exists to help the humans, that kind of ties into the way those kids were treating everything too, and that makes it be a bit more unique than I expected just from yesterday's episode. So I wonder how it's going to end off. I don't really know how they could make MT go back to the human world and like have it really make sense, but we'll see what they do, and I'm sure in the next final 2 episodes, 1-1 is going to show up at some point. Alright, it's time for the final episodes of Infinity Train Season 2. Like before, I'll record my live reactions to the episodes and then highlight anything interesting I might end up saying, and then talk about the episode in depth right after I watch it. They kind of look like the conductor too, huh? Was that already evident before? 1-1, I love you. Oh, dog bones. Very cool setting. This is very like Portal-y. How many more times are they gonna kill animals in this show? Mini 1-1s. Like everything is cool about this setting. All the sound effects especially are sounding really cool. It's so cool. I mean, if anything, it might just reflect off of her because she's metal. Just goes right through. Doesn't even work at all. Some lady who's sad about her dead lizard. Oh, good job, you broke it. MT violence isn't the answer, sweetie. Nani? Well, that was really cool. That was a very cool setting. Cool to see how the train like really works, like they actually have in mind how the whole process starts and stuff. You know, I think it's great for them to not keep that a mystery and also make it very significant to the plot. But like everything about that setting was really cool, and it was really emotional seeing MT fail to get a number because she literally can't, because she doesn't deserve one, theoretically, in a way, because of what she is. And even seeing like those very, very brief glimpses of like those other passengers' stories was like so cool, and you could so easily like interpret entire journeys for those characters and stuff just based on those few seconds you saw there. So that was really cool to see, and 1-1 was adorable, like always. Well, let's move on to our final episode. Still making Beyblades? Porter? I played a lot of Death Stranding recently, so that term's in my head. 1-1's just like, what are you talking about, lady? I love that conductor noise. More characters. Yeah, so did he force himself to get back on to get MT? He really does have a really low number compared to the other guy we saw, though. That was a little too real, 1-1. This music is really good. It's getting to me. I like that his brother's just more than willing to believe everything he said. Robots encoding in juice boxes. You broke the train! Oh no. Oh, I didn't even realize that. I love that 1-1 doesn't even care about like the emotional stakes. He just wants the train to work the way it should. Whoa, jeez. The 1-1 really just thinks like a computer. Like if it seems like it works, then he'll try to make it work. Well, now we just gotta hope that MT never runs into Tulip. Uh-oh. Oh, grass. Oh, that was so well animated. Oh, whoa! We never got animation like that in the first season. Well, that was really cute. First of all, there's some sort of interesting parallel there where Lake ends off looking at her reflection, but in season 1, Tulip ended off looking at the fact that she did not have a reflection. But yeah, wow, that was a great way to end things off. Definitely very dramatic. I'm glad 1-1 got like quite a bit of screen time. We got to see him act in a way that like he didn't before. Now that he's in control the way he should be, and he's just so focused on making sure everything works. It was funny to see him bugging out. It was really clever the way Lake was able to trick him and get themselves off. It was cool seeing them fight the last Reflection Police guy. And that bit of animation when she threw the grass through the door was like so amazing. Although now I have to wonder 1-1 meant when he said that thing about Alan Dracula there. But that was really good. I would definitely say, in my opinion, that that's better than the first season. If I had to rate this on my rating system, I'd probably give it an A-, which is the same rating I gave the first season. So maybe the first season should be a B+ instead, because I think this one is notably better. But that doesn't really matter too much. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've already watched the whole series and probably enjoyed it as much as I did. I think with this season, because all the mystery of the train and everything got revealed in the first season, they elaborate on that mystery that we already understand, while giving us a really interesting new storyline with two characters who interact with each other in really funny and enjoyable emotional ways. Here, it's just like a great character story with much more interesting settings and funnier comedy because of the way the characters are able to interact and stuff. Again, that bit of animation in that last episode with the grass like ups the rating significantly on this season. I think like just that alone very obviously gave me a lot of Portal vibes, which is good because that series is awesome and nothing really ever comes close, but this came close. So I loved it, and I hope you loved it too. I don't know if I'll do a full review of the entire season, or if it just makes more sense to have these individual episode reviews. I guess you guys can let me know about that. And let me know if you enjoyed these episodes and which season you liked better. I hope you enjoyed watching these videos as they came out. I didn't do this for the first season, but I figured it'd be a fun thing to try, and it definitely turned out good. You guys seem to like it. So I hope you enjoyed these videos and this season of the show. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to know when I post a new video. Also consider supporting me on Patreon for just $2 a month to get some cool bonuses. Thanks for watching, and super special thanks to my Patreon supporters.